Hello, hello, hello. Back so soon.
Yes. We are here tonight and we are honored.
So honored.
Many of you know who Velda is. A few of you probably do not. Velda is my teacher. Velda is my mentor. Velda is my friend.
If you cry, I swear.
I've tried so hard not to. I believe it's in our programs what she's going to speak about. Is it in our programs what she's going to speak about?
Overcoming fear.
Yeah.
Facing and overcoming fears.
Yes.
And I'm standing on a stage in front of you. Yes, and I'm standing on a stage in front of you, and that's a big deal. Yeah. I'm trying to help her. See, I was told about, a little while ago that I was going to be up here.
Well, Tracy, why don't you talk about this?
Oh, my bad. The Velda is the first ever recipient of the Joe Marshall Leadership Award. Has just recently returned from her leadership tour that was sponsored by that award. She
world tour.
Kinda, a little bit in our world, right? Man, there's so many things that I could say that we don't really probably have time for, and me and Caitlin need to get back to reading.
It's true. I mean, we could seriously spend all night just talking about Velda, and I think we did that last conference anyway.
Yes, we did, and I kept playing, and I'm like, I wouldn't have this without you.
Oh,
Without you, and that's what she's doing back there with Marshall.
When you first meet Velda, I mean, she's definitely a unique flavor. It takes a little while to get used to some Velda in your life, but once you do, it's wonderful. She is one of the most incredible people I've ever had the pleasure to meet and work with. She's someone I respect very dearly, and I'm so proud of her. So here she is. Oh, dang it, no.
The three?
She's gonna pick on me.
No.
You want me to start handing these?
Where's the books?
You want me to start handing these out?
No, you can wait till later.
Okay.
What am I doing?
So, wait. Stand right there.
You already know.
This doesn't work. So, I'm speaking tonight on facing your fears. Does anybody in this room have any fears?
Yes.
Some people have none. Wow. So, Caitlin, I have a box over here.
Oh, God.
I don't need this thing on. Jeff? I'm on. Okay.
What is in the box?
So, Caitlin, I have a box.
Okay.
Anybody have a fear of the unknown?
Y'all, I don't know what that is.
Caitlin, I'd like you to come stick your hand in this box.
Do it! Do it! Is there something in there that's gonna bite me?
Spider. No, there's something not.
Stick your hand in there. Can I just get a whole hand on you by
Close your eyes.
What the heck is that? It feels like a turtle.
Maybe Caleb will come feel it. Caitlin thinks it's a turtle.
I'm Team Turtle. What is it? Is it a turtle?
She's always the
Now put bottle in it.
What is it, a
It's
pineapple?
a pineapple.
I was so hoping for the turtle.
Hawaiian.
Okay, so Tracy mentioned I just finished my leadership tour. I believe Tracy also talked to you about scholarships and filling out all those essays and those kind of things. I applied for the Marshall Award, and some of you have already heard this. I wasn't going to apply because there are a bunch of essays you have to write, like a lot of essays, and I had to get letters of recommendation. I made poor Tracy write one, and made Barb Castillo write one. And then I said, well, I don't want to write my stuff, so I don't want to apply. And Justin Roth, who was former regional president, he said, yes, you will. So I wrote up what I was going to do, and what I was going to do would be to overcome my fears. Believe it or not, I do have a fear of public speaking. Every term before the first day of class, I cannot sleep. It's like, oh my God, who is going to be in my class? and you know, we have 2 first days, right? We have Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday. And so, yeah, for 2 nights, it's like I can't sleep because I want to know who's in my class and who's going to be there and what are they going to think and they're going to judge me and all that kind of stuff. But you guys might also think, if you were up here right now, right? Something. So, part of my leadership tour was I would go out on this 3-week tour to someplace I didn't know. So I actually went 2 groups. I went out and did a regional events in Tennessee and Kentucky. And then I went back for 3 weeks in Tennessee, did a loop through Tennessee, through Kentucky, up to Ohio, back through Kentucky, and back to Nashville. So 3 weeks, over 3,000 miles, and over 3,000 photos. So I saw, presented to students, faculty, staff, members of the community, members of the foundation boards, did some, whoa!
What on earth is that?
See the light! And of course, Lanny's back there.
Of course.
So I was in places I'd never been. I drove back roads. I did all these things that I had never done. So one of the last things for the leadership tour that I said I would do would be to present on facing your fears. And so Jeff was kind enough to let me come and talk to you about that. So I believe that there are 5 steps, only 5, because that's how many fingers I had on one hand, to overcoming your fears. Okay? So the very first step is identifying them. Do you all know what your fears are? Can you identify them? Could you write them down?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I believe writing them down is really important. I could say I walk outside and I'm afraid of outside. Well, I might not be afraid of outside. I might be afraid of the dark. I might be afraid of bears. I might be afraid of spider webs. You know, what is it exactly you're afraid of? So the first thing I think you should do is you should write them down. So I wrote down mine because I was afraid I was going to forget. Okay, and most of you know I don't usually have notes. So I wrote these down. Actually, the reason I wrote them down was because I have so many fears. If I just did them random, we'd be here all night. So my very first one is talking to strangers. Anybody share that fear with me, talking to strangers? I'm not saying strange people, I'm saying strangers. Okay, my second one is doing or saying something wrong. Some people have that one too. Okay, my third one is appearing stupid.
Oh, yes.
And my fourth one is not being good enough. Ooh, you guys got those too.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want you to think about yours. Hopefully you have a couple that you might want to overcome. And I have way more fears than this. Okay? But just think of the ones that you want to get over, and what could you do to get over them? Okay? What are they? So your first step is identify your fears. Okay? First one. Second step, now you have to research them. See, Phi Beta Kappa, we're doing research. All right, you're going to research them. What that means is, I want you to think back. How long has that been a fear? When did that first happen? Did somebody say something? Did something happen? I also have a fear of water. I'm not talking about my fear of water, because I'm not overcoming that one real soon. I know when that one started. That's when I almost drowned. And I almost drowned the person who was trying to save me. So I know where that one comes from. I've taken private lessons. I've done all sorts of things. That one's harder to get rid of. So think of your fears. When did they first start? That's the kind of research. Did people say things? Did people do things? You know, where did it start? This is hard. This is really hard work. Okay? Anybody thinking here? Okay. So I wrote mine down here. I know these. So I was raised by my grandparents. I was raised to be seen and not heard. I was raised to not speak until spoken to. I was raised to not cry and not be angry. Pretty much don't have any emotions. What else? So my father left when I was a little kid because my mother told him I wasn't his. He went into the military and he died. So I was raised without a father. That's why my grandparents raised me. When we would go, we were in rural Oregon, rural Coos County, Oregon, and when we would go into the stores once a month to go grocery shopping, I always felt like I was being watched by strangers. I did. I could swear people would point at me and whisper. And you know what? They did. Do you know why? Because they were my relatives and my mother wouldn't let me see. They were my grandparents. They were my father's friends. So, wouldn't that creep you out, sort of?
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah. Okay, and let's see. Oh yeah, we gotta talk about my mother. So my mother used to tell me when we would go visit places, because before I was 4 years old, she had been married and divorced again and had another kid. So this is in the early 1960s. She's divorced with 2 kids in Coos County. Yeah. So anytime we would go someplace in the car, she would say, "Don't make waves. Don't say anything to embarrass me. Don't rock the boat." Do you think any of these things I just told you have anything to do with my fears?
Yes. Absolutely.
So I have to tell you the last thing my mother, the words that I can hear her saying repeatedly. Nobody's ever going to love you, and you're never going to be successful. Okay?
That was wrong.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so we've got number 2. Are you thinking about the words people said to you? Any people say any of these kind of things? Hopefully not all of them. Anybody say words to you that you're still hanging on to?
Yeah.
Sometimes? Okay. First one's identify them. Second one is research. So, third one, analysis. I made these up, by the way. Analysis. So now, have you ever said to somebody, like if I walked up to Tim over here and I said, "I'm afraid I'm never going to be successful," and Tim would say, "Velda, you're crazy." You ever done that? Ever had somebody do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, but it's my fear, and if it's my fear, he can't tell me I'm crazy because it's my fear. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So now in this analysis phase, what I want you to do is do that to yourself. I want you to stand back and look at your fear, look at the reasons that you have it, that you found out in your research, and ask yourself, is this valid? Is there any evidence, any validity to any of this? Does it make any sense? Does it fit at all? Okay, are you thinking? Okay, so that page is done. Okay, I want you, because I wrote these down because I thought they were cool. So, I want you to estimate probabilities for all of you mathy people over here in the middle that are talking that can't hear me saying mathy people. Estimate probabilities. Okay, in your analysis. For you geeks, which is probably everyone in the room, I want you to think logically. Okay, for you creative people, I want you to envision prettier pictures. For you writers, create better words. And for you artsy folks, paint a new canvas. Alright? So this is hard work for you to do. So, I already told you with strangers, I was watched as a kid. I was watched not just in Myrtle Point, where I grew up. I was watched in Coquille, I was watched in Coos Bay and North Bend. I was watched in Charleston. Heck, I was watched out in Powers, and there was nobody in Powers. Okay? So, you know, maybe my fear comes from there were people there who wanted to make a connection with me, but I couldn't make a connection with them because I was a little kid. I was not to be spoken to and speak until spoken to, and I was not allowed to talk to strangers. So maybe that sort of connection with strangers, I'm not quite sure how to handle that yet, right? I need to rethink that. Yeah, it's okay to make a connection. I'm not a little kid anymore. I can speak before I'm spoken to. Right?
Yes.
And those of you who know me know I do anyway. Okay, so this doing or saying something wrong or appearing stupid and foolish, the not rocking the boat, the not making waves, that's my mom's problem. Right? She was the one who was divorced with 2 kids. Divorced twice with 2 kids. That was her problem. That's not my problem. I'm not carrying that around anymore. I can be foolish if I want. Okay, and the last one, oh, I have to say, my mother, by the way, I describe her as the center of the universe because she is perfect and the world revolves around her. That was how she presented. Everything in her life was perfect, except me. So, the last one about not being successful, oh, I forgot to tell you. Growing through school with grades. Anybody have their parents reward them or punish them for grades? I got 10 cents for every time my grade went up. I was an A and B student. I had to pay 10 cents every time a grade went down. There's not a fluctuation there. My brother, who's 3 years younger, he got paid $1 and he got D's and F's. And he never had to give money back. And he was praised when he brought home a C. Okay? Yeah, it doesn't sound fair, does it? Okay, so my mom, by saying that I would never be successful, that I would never be loved, I think she thought she was pushing me to be better. I think in her weird rationalization, she thought if I tell her she's never going to be successful, Velda's stubborn, which, oh yes, Velda's stubborn, that she will prove me wrong. That's one reason I never got my PhD, was because my mother said, associate's degree didn't matter, that's why I don't have it. Bachelor's degree didn't matter, master's degree didn't matter, and she said when you get something that matters like a PhD, maybe then I'll acknowledge you. I think she thinks that she is pushing me. She's not doing it very well. But I'm getting a PhD despite her. All right. So we got identify your fears, research them, analyze them. I'll make 2 more to go. I don't know where my fingers went. There they are. So your 4th one is you have to make a plan. Okay? You've done this analysis, you've painted a new canvas. Now how are you going to get there? You can't just wake up one morning and say, okay, my mother was wrong, I'm going to be successful. Well, you could. But you need to really have a plan. You need to figure out, what am I going to do? And one of the best things, I think, if it's words, if those are words that are hurting you, you need to make a new connection. Okay? Choose new words. Find out what are the triggers. What things do people say to you that make you feel stupid, make you feel fat, ugly, unloved, unsuccessful, whatever it is. What is it that people say? Because before that feeling comes, that fear, I'm going to walk outside and there's a grizzly bear out there, yeah, logically that ain't going to happen. But what is the trigger? So you have to know that so you're prepared when it happens. Okay, so I want you to make a plan. It's a new way of thinking and it's going to take time. So the first time that this happens, you may say, oh, there it is, there it happened, but it's already too late. Next time you'll catch it earlier. Next time you'll catch it earlier. All right. So here are mine. Do you know what? You were all strangers at one point. How bad did that turn out? Right? Some people who just met me are going, oh, good God. But really, everyone's a stranger. How bad is it to talk to people you don't know? What are they going to do? Run in fear? I've never had that happen. When I talked about the logical thing, you know, you walk up to somebody and say, hey, can you tell me what time it is? I have never had anybody scream and run. Not yet. Not yet. All right. Okay, so I'm just not going to ask anyone time for a moment. So the second one I had about doing or saying something wrong. I've done that. But you know what? I say a lot of things that are right. I know a lot of stuff. So if I took and balanced all the stuff I've ever said in my entire life that was right with all of the stuff I've said that's wrong, this is a huge big pile, and there's a few little things here. Does it really matter? No. So I hope you're thinking about your stuff. So, my one about appearing stupid and foolish. So I actually wrote this. I need to do that more. Those of you who know me, aren't I far too serious?
Oh, God, yes.
I need to find more opportunities to be silly. Maybe not foolish. Certainly not unsafe. But what's wrong with seeming silly and foolish? Is there anything wrong?
Yes,
No.
there is.
What?
Because people might interpret that as being like, what's wrong with her? You know, she's acting so weird, so strange.
People say that when I'm serious.
And then as time goes on, they might not have very much respect for you.
Then I don't need them. They can go in the stranger pile. Okay, so my last one about not being good enough. Not being successful. Some of you know I've spent a lot of years with Boy Scouts, and I can tell you the one thing I have learned in Boy Scouts is to always be prepared. Duh, I am always prepared. So when these things come up, I remind myself of these things. I say a lot of good stuff, I may say some stupid stuff, that's okay. Everyone was a stranger at one time. Okay, so we got identify your fears, research your fears, analyze your fears, make a plan. Do you know the last one?
Put it into action.
Put it into action, that's right, practice. Or, the title of this talk,
Face the fear.
There you go. All right, so I put a thing here, baby steps, do not dive right in.
Is that a reference to the water?
Yes, do not dive right in. Never dive in. But you need to take them in small chunks. I would not recommend that you take all 5 of your fears and try and conquer them all at once, like some silly person did, driving through 3 states all by herself, going to places she's never been, seeing people she didn't know, and staying in some really weird motels. I suggest that you take your plan, work through it slowly. All right? So, for strangers, what did I do? So for several weeks, anytime I was on the bus or in the store, I would tell myself, I'm really awesome, in my head. I didn't talk out loud, don't worry, I wasn't being that weird. I would tell myself, you know what, I'm really awesome, but that stranger over there doesn't know that, because that person hasn't met me yet. I did this for weeks. I would be on the bus and I'd see somebody, I'd smile, and they'd look at me like, what's she smiling? And I'd be in my head, I'm really awesome, that person just doesn't know me yet. So I have gone on my leadership tour. I have talked to a whole lot of strangers. I told you I went for just a weekend for the first time. I came back from that. I got coffee with my son, he's 25, and we go grocery shopping together. He's a student. And he said to me, he goes, good God, what happened to you in Tennessee and Kentucky? All you do is talk to people now. He said that was part of my plan. And then when I came back after 3 weeks, he was afraid to go anywhere because he thought I'd just walk up to strangers sitting in booths and restaurants and just start chatting. But I haven't gotten that far yet. So, as far as doing and saying something wrong, I already told you that one. I just try to say right things. I try to treat people nicely. So yeah, if there's somebody who doesn't like something I say or thinks I'm foolish, I've been polite, I've been nice. I haven't hurt anyone, I haven't damaged anything, insulted anyone. I'm just nice and polite. They can take it or leave it. Okay, and I'm going to start scheduling the stupid, foolish stuff later. Okay? I should tell you, that PhD I was talking about, I told Tracy I thought I could announce it tonight, but we forgot it has to go through form and style. But maybe 2 weeks from tonight, I will have it. Now the big one here that Tim doesn't believe, that I'm never going to be successful. Do you know what I had to do with that one? I had to define success. What does success mean? If we went around this room and asked, every single person would probably have a slightly different view of what success means, right? When we talk about it like it's, there's one thing, here it is. So I defined it, and it wasn't easy. It really did take quite a while. So I feel I'm successful when I can help somebody else. When I can use what I know, skills I have, to help somebody else be more successful. Okay? So I want to read you this. So I did this leadership tour. Like I told you, there were, let's see, the smallest group I had was 3 people. The largest group I had was 93 people. All different mix of people. Some were in, well, I wasn't in a chapel. This is my first chapel. No, I've been in chapels before.
I know.
No, I got married in Vegas. But a lot of times it would be, I would just walk in, I'd present. Hi, are you the person who knows how to turn this on? You know, we turn on the computer, I'd present. I really think they'd have a lot of interaction with people. And I think if I were to do this again, which I really hope I can, I would do it differently. So I came back on 25th. So about a week later, I got this email. It says, "Hi, Velda. I wanted to tell you again what a pleasure it was to attend your seminar on emotional intelligence at a community college in Kentucky. First, allow me to share the little miracles that allowed me to attend your seminar. I believe we attract things in our lives when we are open to receiving them and thinking the right thoughts. The night before," I'm reading now, I need water. "The night before, my son got a fever of 103 out of the blue. I was planning on staying home with him the next day, because when that happens, his fever usually sticks around for at least a few days. Next morning, the day of your seminar, surprisingly, his temperature was perfect, so I sent him to school. When I got to work, in my overflowing inbox, I happened to notice the invite to the seminar. I didn't really know what it was about, so originally I wasn't planning on going, but something really drew me to you. Your seminar was just what I needed at the time. I had been really slacking on my awareness and management of my thoughts and feelings. I'd listened to audiobooks in the past about topics very similar to yours. And since I'd been in an emotional rut lately, I kept telling myself, I really need to listen to my books again. I find that funny. I've never listened to a book, but okay. I kept putting off checking them out at the library. I'm positive God pulled some strings for me to meet you that day. After listening to what you had to say, it's like someone unblindfolded me. Everything became clear to me again. I was able to recognize my thoughts and feelings and identify why I was having them. I don't think I stopped smiling for about 30 minutes. I felt so enlightened, inspired, and motivated to make positive changes in my life. Since then, this was only 10 days since I was at her campus, I've had a very important, positive, and relationship-altering conversations with my husband and mom that have drastically improved the quality of our lives. She's probably mid-30s. You've really helped remind me to take responsibility for my own feelings. Then that trickled down into other very positive changes. Thank you for being a godsend. I can't remember the last time I was this happy in all aspects of my life. Keep doing what you're doing. I hope to meet you again." Wow. Okay. So, do you remember the 5 steps?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I would like you, maybe not tonight because there's fun happening, but
It's gonna be fun.
This could be fun. Yeah, I'll go to your rooms and don't go to the things Jeff is playing.
Come on now.
I'll go to your rooms. Yeah, what you do at the regional convention, Velda sent us all to our rooms and made us write down our fears.
Worst convention ever.
So I want you at some point to to write them down. And you can write them all down and then just pick a couple and go through the process of researching them, analyzing them, making a plan, and then putting your plan into action. Okay? Okay, I'm done. Questions? Woo! Yes?
Will you come speak at PCC Cascade?
Of course I will.
That would be great.
Yes.
Okay.
Who is your greatest influence in your life?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
The greatest
Don't
influence.
say your mother.
Oh, good God. No.
Positive influence.
Positive influence. There you go. Probably my grandmother.
And why?
Because after my grandfather died, she continued on and was a very independent woman. She could get under that drain when I lost my diamond earring down the bathroom drain and get my diamond earring out. My damn earring. My diamond earring out of that drain, and she'd never done it before. I mean, I just would watch her do things that she'd never done, and she was, not intimidated, didn't have the fear factor that I did. So, anybody else? Any other questions? So if you want me to come to your campuses, yes, I will do that. Jeff is passing out right now. Passing out evaluations, they're two-sided. If you could get those to either Caitlin or Caleb before they leave tomorrow. There's also business cards. Well, they're not really business cards, but he has little cards that I made up for my leadership tour. And there's an online survey if you'd rather do that. And then there's an email on there. And if you contact me, I'll come to your campus. So I have a lot of leadership topics. I used to present, I used to be the advisor at Lane Community College. I used to give weekly talks, some of these people can talk about it. I used to do weekly leadership talks. And what I would do is I would watch the chapter officers, and back when Tracy first started, I would see what skills they needed to develop. And I had a weekly workshop I did, and so just about 2 weeks before, I'd say, so in 2 weeks we're covering this, and they would be like, wow, we really needed that. Yeah, I planned it that way. So topics that have been really successful are generation gap, emotional intelligence, I have social intelligence, conflict. Oh, there's a really great one I do about lying.
I like that one.
Yeah, I don't know, do you guys like it? You like it?
Yes.
Yeah, so I have a bunch of topics, and that I believe is on the blog, but I'm still trying to keep up. So. Anything else? Yes?
So if we want you to speak at a school for anything and there's a subject, where could we find more information? An area that you think a little bit more about it.
About it? Well, that's one of the things when I'm done with this PhD that I'm going to be putting on that website. Because people have been asking me about emotional intelligence and where they can find out more about it. So I don't have that yet. But I'd say for right now, you can Google it. I'm going to be putting up my PowerPoints from the tour. Yes?
What is your PhD?
What's it in? My PhD is in community college leadership. My research was on service learning to promote student engagement. And so I was actually asked on my tour to present at a faculty development conference about, because I presented the generation gap before. So they wanted me, this guy wanted me to take service learning, student engagement, and generation gap and combine them all. And present to faculty. I blew those faculty away. Yeah, because I talked about why service learning engages students, how to engage students, and then for the 4 different generations, how to motivate them, how to communicate with them, and get them engaged. So it was cool.
Very nice.
So, yeah. Anything else? All right. take my pineapple and go home.
Okay. Are you sure it's not a porcupine or a turtle?